the network for the AV industry.
What are you listening to?
This
is AV.
This
is AVNation.
This is AVNation.
This is AVWeek, episode 107, recorded Friday, September 6th, 2013. A link to Amazon.
Ready.
AVWeek.
Performing. Scan.
Week.
Online.
This is AVWeek. It's time for AV Week, your weekly wrap-up of audiovisual news and information. My name is Tim Albright. I'm your host for the day. Welcome. Thanks so much for downloading, streaming, and or joining us. We do appreciate it. With us this week is Miss Dawn Mead. She's known as AV Dawn, the superhero extreme of the AV industry. She is the marketing and media coordinator for Net AV and a rabid Steelers fan. How are you, ma'am?
Woo! Excited for Sunday.
Me too. Go Bears. Dub Bears.
Stop Bears.
Stop Bears. Steve Greenblatt is everything at Control Concepts. How are you, brother?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Doing well. I'm not going to assume. So do you like football, and who is your team?
I'm a big Giants fan, season ticket holder.
There we go. See,
Yeah.
you guys in and around New York, you can be Giants, you can be Jets. Some of
It
you,
is true.
Some of you yahoos can even be like, Patriots fans, God forbid. Nathan Lively is the author of the new ebook Sound Design Live. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. Are you a football fan?
No, unless you're talking about soccer.
I'm not. So Mike Faulkner is he's the manager of engineering services at AVTexture. He's the second person we've had on from that Vine organization. The first is our buddy Adrian Boyd. So how are you, sir?
I'm doing pretty good, yeah.
Good. Are you a football fan?
I am not, but I buy the Sunday ticket for my wife every year, so I get Sundays to myself.
Well, yay! That's a nice deal. Maybe I should talk to my wife about doing that for the opposite reasons. Actually, I have a story, a real quick story at the end about how I got Sunday ticket for like $20. Josh Rocco is the product manager for ICS Integrated Communication Systems. Welcome, sir.
Thank you.
Are you a football fan?
I'm one of those weird guys that prefers college to pro.
You know what? You're not weird. My brother-in-law's the same way. He's a big Bulldog fan. So.
Well, seeing I hear "Go Bears," instantly I think Berkeley. So.
Jeez. Do they even have a football team?
What?
Yeah. What? Seriously?
Berkeley?
Wow.
Yeah. I mean,
I'm
we're
sorry.
terrible. But...
I do not think of Berkeley and football in the same sentence. I'm sorry, guys. I mean, you're talking about California football. You're talking about, USC. And I'll even give you UCLA with my buddy Greg Brown, but not Berkeley. Even Stanford, for crying out loud, but not Berkeley.
Just because they haven't been to a Rose Bowl in over 50 years.
That may be why. This week we're not going to talk about football. Just, it's 2 days away. We're recording this on Friday, September 6th, and the bigger all the games except for the one that happened last night. Which we're not going to talk about because Harry Mead's not on, and he's a big Ravens fan. But, they start in 2 days. And there's actually quite a few little AV intricacies that happened, whether it was the $30 million facelift that Mile High Stadium got, or a nasty rumor I heard about the Texans stadium going to be bigger and badder than the one that the Cowboys put up just a couple of years ago. So apparently... Mr. Jones's biggest TV in the world is going to be eclipsed by the one that the Texans are going to put up. So, yeah. But first, we're going to talk about a couple moves and shakes, some Microsoft stuff, and one company getting bought, one company expanding. The first one we're going to hit off is Control4. Control4, just a couple weeks ago, did an IPO, got about, a couple $1 million, not too shabby. But also this week, they also released a number of different products. If you don't know what Control4 is, Control4 makes control products, not to be simplistic about it. And yet this week, they released a number of different other products. In other words, they're moving into other venues. One is an audio matrix switch. They're doing amplifiers. They're doing other. Moving into HDMI switching. So, Dawn, we'll kick it off with you. What does this mean for Control4 as a brand? The fact that they're not getting out of control, but moving into other areas.
It means that they're trying to be like all the other guys, Extron, Crestron, AMX. Everybody wants to be one ring to rule them all and have your control business and your matrix business, and they want to be everything to everybody. And while it may be good for them, they may have good products. I don't know much about it other than they're shiny new. But at the end of the day, as an integrator, we want to be able to use the best product for the best situation. And if you make a bunch of pretty good products or a couple of really great products, I'm going to go with the guys that make a couple of really great products. And the fear I always have when companies get into making everything as complete systems and you want to use digital media from head to toe or Extron from head to toe or whatever head to toe, the problem you run into is, are they going to start making proprietary crap? Is it going to be able to be easily replaced? There's so many issues, and I wish a company would just make a product and keep making that product and make it really, really well.
What about
just my little
drama? I'm going to give you one of the things that a couple of different manufacturers, both Crestron and AMX, and different people within both organizations have given me this argument, because I was in the same mindset that you were, Don, and I guess I sort of still am. What about the idea, though, that if you give us one person to blame, right? One-stop shopping, one person to get everything from cabling to speakers to control systems to switchers, everything. It's all under one roof. You have one person to go to, maybe even one PO to write. Is there value there?
If there were value there, the federal government wouldn't have broken up monopolies at the turn of the century.
Yes, but they're back together. I mean, AT&T is, 30 years later, is still AT&T. All we did was make a few more $1 million, I guess.
I'm waiting for the government to come back on that. But yeah, I see the argument. I understand the argument. And I'm sure the ordering folk, the people that push the POs at our companies, they enjoy having a single PO. But at the same time, I was raised never put all your eggs in one basket. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
And I think having diversification, it'll protect the market. It'll increase competition, have companies making things better and cheaper so that they can compete against other products. And, you don't have any company too big for their britches and taking their ball and going home if they get mad at a show, for instance, or whatever. I just think that argument, I understand it a little, but I don't buy it.
Nobody would ever do that. Nobody would get mad and take their ball and not show up at shows anymore, because nobody goes to trade shows anymore. Steve, you and I have talked about this on one of our other shows, State of Control, about other control manufacturers getting into other things, other products other than control. Does this bode well? I mean, what does this mean for Control4, and what does it mean for the industry?
I have conflicting opinion about it. I prefer, like Don said, to still integrate products, and from a perspective of somebody who does programming, that's where the art is, to be able to make the control system work with all different products. And but I understand the strategy here. Control4 is meant to be easy to work with, easy to program. It doesn't require the same customization, and what I think what they're going after here is limiting the need to have all of the custom drivers that need to be built, and I think that the other control manufacturers have proven this strategy to be successful. So I guess they're just jumping on the bandwagon, as long as the products that they make don't cause them to lose focus and also are of good quality.
Do you think this had anything to do with the IPO and going public?
Well, I mean, it probably gave them some money to play with, so they
Yeah.
gave them the ability to do more R&D. But can't imagine that they brought it. They had that the money really got them product this quickly if the product is available soon.
Oh yeah,
You know,
absolutely. Yeah, like they already had this in the works, and this was just like this was probably if any of us would have been privy to the roadshow prior to this, this probably was part of the roadshow when they went around to different investors and be prior to the IPO. I would imagine.
Sure, I think it's probably a selling point to say, look, we have so much more opportunity to expand into the market and be not be limited to just a control system.
Yeah. Mike, what do you think this does for people that are partners with Control4? I mean, is this something where they're going to expect them to now not only, obviously they're going to expect them to sell their stuff, but what if I'm a Control4 guy, but I'm also a restaurant or a FSR or a Aurora house?
Well, if you're a Control4 place, you're probably going to try this out at least and stick with what you know at first. If you guys have Crestron systems going out, then the Crestron system is going to go out. If somebody wants to build a whole system around Control4, then you do have that one PO to cut. But my thing is you'll have kind of the mentality of sales guys going, well, we can fit it all into one box and one scenario where, okay, can it really do what we need to do? And they see the name, they think, okay, well, it's got to work because it works with all their other stuff. Well, we as a company have had problems when a new product comes out, let's say a video switch that does really well comes out with a control system, and we went ahead and started playing with the control system and found out that it can't do exactly what we wanted it to do, or at least what the sales guy had pitched. And when we called up the company and said, well, what can we do around this? Well, we're not really sure. We're not really a control system company. We're still working the bugs out. Okay, great. Now what? So you're calling a control system company, and hopefully they're going to have an audio switch and a video switch and the HD base T. That's kind of the Me Too. Everybody's doing this. Oh, me too, me too, me too. Well, now we're all doing it. So I don't know.
Yeah. It does
kind of a bad taste in my mouth when it comes to everybody jumping into the same pool.
Yeah, absolutely. Nathan, when it comes to other companies jumping in, whether it's Control4 getting into the switcher business and the amplifier business, which seems kind of odd, it does. I mean, I'm not mixing. I'm not making fun of them necessarily, but it's kind of the same idea when Extron came out with their amplifiers. Now, I did test them and I've actually used them a couple times, the Extron ones that is. And they're not bad. They're not the greatest amplifiers in the world, but they're not, it was not what I expected. I was pleasantly surprised. But Nathan, as a couple other people have said, is this just kind of a Me Too thing when it comes to Control4?
Yeah, when I see new stuff come out and I read an article, I think like most people, since we have so much content to get through every day, kind of just figuring out how to categorize things that are important to us and things that are not important to us. And as soon as I read home theater and home use and words like that, then I immediately put that in the things that are not useful to me category.
Okay.
And so I didn't really pay much attention to it. And the only thing I can say about the Me Too thing is that, if people haven't had experience and they have a new piece of equipment, then if this company already has a good reputation, then maybe that's good. And people will want to try it out just because they have a good reputation. But if they only have a good reputation for one piece of equipment, or if they have a bad reputation, then it's probably not going to help them out. But otherwise, I don't know much.
Josh, what kind of impact will this have? I mean, Control4 is primarily a residential company, let's be honest. Do you think maybe this is their attempt to get into more of a pro market, or is this their attempt to expand their home and their residential offerings?
Well, with the residential market doing so much innovation in terms of what people are familiar with, this is giving a name brand product and going the Bose method with it. It's saying, oh, well, I got known in my home. I can now be put in a church. I can now be put in an office. I can go that route with it. I had to make the same argument they're trying to do now for a manufacturer who had to be named, who will remain nameless, but goes under the moniker The Total Solution for 3 years. Trying to convince people to buy a single line item is, in this day and age, is near impossible because everybody's got their opinion about what's best. Nobody's going to be convinced that you can outduel any other manufacturer across the board. So they're going to pick and choose, and the resi guys are going to come back and they're going to see some products that work off this. They're going to see some products that don't work. But with so much of this product being commoditized anymore, you can buy half this stuff at Best Buy. It's going the same route as home security type stuff, where you can now walk across the street to Costco and pick up 6 cameras and a DVR and plug them in your home and do it yourself. And that seems to be kind of where a lot of this other end of it is headed. But then when you get to the control aspect, which is where they were based, you still have to go talk to somebody. So it's kind of this weird, more direct sales route that I seem to keep seeing more and more in the industry.
By the way, Josh, I should send you a check because that was a very nice transition into our next article. Amazon is opening a home automation store. Yay! Because instead of Costco, you can go to Amazon. Jeez Louise. Here's the thing. I love Amazon, by the way. And this is where my DirecTV story comes in. I recently purchased the Madden 25th Anniversary Edition, the Anniversary Edition. And if you do that, I think they have 100,000 copies of it. The normal copy of that is $60. If you pay $100 for it from Amazon, you get the DirecTV NFL Sunday Ticket as part of it for the entire season, and you can watch it on your mobile device, on your tablet, any place, and and you don't have to have DirecTV. So there's my Amazon Madden story. But they have had they've been selling Nests for years and things from Belkin and people like that, but they actually have a whole little section now where you can do this. Josh, we'll come back to you on this. Is this a good thing or a bad thing for the AV industry?
This is the same thing as Comcast offering the same service, only now there's actual there's absolutely no information and support behind it. So I'm very much against what we're about to see. Although, to be fair, service calls are going to go up for all the integrators.
Very nice. Well, speaking of service calls and control people, Steve, are you expecting, is this something where you would, I'm not trying to give you business advice because, good God, I can't, but is this something where you would set up somebody or a couple people to be prepared to take service calls like that?
It's an interesting idea. If for us, my business in particular wouldn't really pertain, but I like this on a couple of levels. One, I like it because it's, again, making what we do a little bit more understandable to the everyday person. And the other thing that's kind of cool about it is that you might find an opportunity to find a missing piece or some innovative solution by taking these gadgets and solving a problem that you have in a system that we do, and or even coming up with a product that's based around one of these pieces or a couple of them that you use programming or software to complete the package.
That's a good idea. Don, I shouldn't say it. I'll say it. They've already started this, right? And you can buy high-end audio and video gear at Amazon. Actually, one of my favorite editors recently told me that she has purchased displays on Amazon, even though she covers. When will they start carrying Crestron or AMX products?
Well, it wouldn't surprise me that if they already weren't to some extent, because you can buy that stuff from who is it? Some of the IT guys online. the big, oh gosh, now that you asked me this, of
CDW?
course,
Yeah.
like those guys. You definitely you can go online right now to some of the IT wholesalers, the Amazons of IT equipment, and buy that stuff online, the CDWs and so forth. So it wouldn't surprise me that if Amazon got into that. And here's the thing, as an integrator, if you are currently still making all your money selling equipment, you're either incredibly lucky or incredibly stupid, or both. Because in reality, the equipment costs, we've been commoditized.
Yeah.
It's a fact at this point. And it's going to happen. People already shop the heck out of us online. They're ordering things from, B&H, or they might buy something from, for AV in Washington, D.C. They may pick up something from Washington Professional at just a box sale real cheap, and then try to have it put into their system by whatever integrator they hire. I threw that in there for the Avitecture guy. I'm in your area too, my friend.
Yes.
But you know what I mean? We're already to the point that you can, to some extent, under the table or less under the table, buy that stuff. I think with Amazon, so far they've got great customer service. As a geek and as an AV home DIYer, I'm really excited about this move. Perhaps it means Mr. AV Don and I can finally get rid of the X10 crap that's dying in our home system, and we can find something new to integrate with our AMX cobbled together mess of a home theater.
I couldn't agree with you more, Dawn. I'm a DIY person. I have a Crestron system at home, hence I am a Crestron programmer. But now I get to buy all this stuff with my Prime account and not have to pay for shipping. So
very nice.
I saw this as a bonus, and plus then I can take my change and go in and do those change machines they have at the grocery store and put everything into my Amazon account, and my wife won't know that I just bought a whole bunch of stuff.
Your wife's obviously not in the industry. Mr. AV Don and I don't have.
Yeah, no. She likes it once it's finished and working. It's the, pull the whole house apart and punch holes in the walls that she doesn't like.
Right.
I never thought about the Prime thing. By the way, I just did a search on Amazon. You can get Crestron gear used currently.
Yeah.
But it's not you can't get it brand new from them. So, Nathan, when it comes to this, is this whole commoditization inevitable, I guess?
You guys, I'm kind of the amateur here. I think it looks fun. I think for the average enthusiast or hacker, that these people like me who might just want to have their lights turn on when they come home, those kind of things look fun. So I actually have a question for you, Tim, or AV Don. Does Crestron actually sell anything for the end user? Could your average enthusiast buy some things online, read the user manual, and install them in their home? I mean, is there any competition there with the Amazon store?
Well, they don't sell direct to the end user, but some of their more modern, it used to be with AMX or Crestron, you just had to be a programmer and go through their classes and be a dealer to be able to set it all up. With some of the newer systems, they're coming out with these configurators that make it really easy for the untrained, uncertified person to just make a touch panel happen. And so I think some of their more consumer-friendly stuff, absolutely, that's going to be, just a great deal. You can just pick one up on Amazon or wherever and do it yourself. But I think at the end of the day,
search eBay. Yeah, search eBay, and there's thousands of parts all over the place. Now, some of them are going to be kind of sketchy when you buy from eBay, but I mean, you can get whole systems and piece it together. You just need to have that, configurator software to make it all work.
Right.
And which
actually, that's where Mr. Avidon and I got half of our AMX system at home was scamming eBay. But of course, being both in the industry, we knew what to look for and what we needed. Your average person, they'll be calling integrators or their tech savvy buddy to figure out what they need. But it's possible. Yeah.
And the average person doesn't have access to the software. I mean, you have to at least have some in the industry in order to get the software to be able to do even the configuring.
At one point, I saw somebody on eBay selling their programming services for Crestron. They said, "You send me the amount of equipment that you have, and I'll send you the code."
Seriously.
How
much was it, like per hour or per project?
Oh yeah, it was per project, depending on, and you just bid like $10, and you could then talk to the guy. It was ridiculous.
Hey Tim,
and with all the crowdsource, I was going to say, with all the crowdsourcing sites out there, and Buy My Time, like Fiverr, or some of those types of things, I'm sure that's already happening. And I'm sure if you go into the seedy underbelly of piracy and start looking through torrents, it wouldn't surprise me if some of the configurator stuff was already out there. That doesn't mean it's going to work right. Doesn't mean it's the correct thing. Doesn't mean we like it at all. But, it's 2013. People do what they need to do or what they think they can get away with.
Go ahead, Nathan.
I think this is a good comparison to other fields where people have tried to lower the barriers to entry. I deal with this all the time because I work on my own website, and I'm not a site programmer, and I don't know much about web design in general. But when I see something where it looks like the barriers to entry have been really lowered, then I'm like, okay, I can do it myself. And then I get it. It looks like it's easy. And then I end up spending, hours and hours in forums actually trying to learn how to use it, realizing that it might have been easier just to hire someone to do it from the beginning. So it seems like that's a little bit similar. So they're probably going to need there probably already are these kind of forums, maybe even on Amazon, where people are getting this stuff, but then it doesn't work exactly the way they want it, or they need to customize it. And so, yeah, like you said, then maybe more calls coming to integrators to try to solve those kind of problems.
Well, and here's the thing. The people that would buy that are deep DIY people, right? I mean, first of all, before I entered the industry, I had never heard the words Crestron. So at least knowing some of the company names means that you have some knowledge of the companies that are making these products, right? Or unless you read higher end AV magazines or higher end like Electronic House would be one example. Those are the places where you're going to hear these names. You're going to see these names. Then, yeah, you're right. You're going to search forums. You're going to search Yahoo groups. You're going to search all these other places to either A, learn, or B, find somebody else who does. But there are other people. I mean, Aurora has their control system. You program it through HTML. It's not, it's not as hard coding as coding AMX or even Crestron. You just plug, you plug the box in, and you not Telnet. Oh, good Lord, how old am I? You connect to it, and you just start messing with the built-in web page, that's on the device already. So, but yeah, that's a good thing. Let's see, where are we going from here? Yeah, we'll just reintroduce everybody and we'll go on. You are listening to AV Week. AV Dawn is here. Dawn Mead, Steve Greenblatt from Control Concept. That gentleman right there was Nathan Lively. And the two newbies, and you guys are being very nice to them, so thank you. Mike Faulkner from Avitexture and Josh Strago from ICS. Moving on, there was a couple of marketing things and article or just research things. First, the fact that consumer confidence is up in 2013, and it's specifically about technology and technical specs. The fact that people are spending more money on electronics in general. In a couple months here, we'll have the Consumer Electronics Show. Steve, is this a good thing for the industry, and if so, how do we capitalize on that?
I think it's a great thing. I think that at least in people that I network with and what I'm seeing in the industry, based on what we saw at Infocom and even before that we've been on an upward tick, probably since around the time of the election. And I think of course, more spending, it creates more activity in the economy, and people are going to benefit from it business-wise. But I think also there's only so long that people can hold off keeping their technology up to date.
Yeah, absolutely. Don, how do we, as integrators, capitalize on this? Do we do marketing plans? Do we do marketing, blasts, or do we start advertising, or is it just one of those things where we're just ready once the consumers are ready?
Well, I mean, there's a couple ways of looking at it. Obviously, you want to get your house in order. At the office in advance. You want to be ready for these sorts of things. But you also want to take a little bit of a proactive approach with some of your customers. I mean, case in point, there's legislation currently going through Congress for video conferencing in federal government to eliminate travel in favor of video conferencing to take care of a lot of that. And so as a company that does mostly federal work, we've gotten our house in order with all of our VTC vendors, started lining up some new VTC companies or VTC options, and then we started talking with some of our customers that are going to be affected by that if and when it comes to pass as a law, so that they know, hey, we're experts not just on the Cisco we already installed for you, but we've got all these other options. And, so it's a similar thing. Anytime you have something that's going to be impacting a large group of potential customers, you want to start talking to them in advance, but you also want to make sure your stuff's in line. I mean, obviously you're not going to take out a Super Bowl ad on it before anything becomes a law or becomes, the common practice, but there's a lot you can do internally to be ready.
Nathan, do you think this is maybe the fact that a younger generation is actually getting older now, and the fact that they're built around technology, they grew up around technology, or is it the coming back to the fact that the economy is improving and we're all getting more used to technology?
I think it's part of the back to school time of year. Mm-hmm. And also I noticed in that article that it said that while this consumer spending in technology is up, that overall spending is actually down. So I don't know what to think about it. But I'm always ready to be proactive with sales, but I can't say generally much more than that.
Josh, when it comes to capitalizing on stuff like this, is it something where you not exploit's the wrong word, leverage your existing customer base and start reintroducing newer ideas, like whether it's after Infocom or after CEDIA or after ISE?
Well, while you want to do those things after the shows because it's a prime time and everybody comes back excited, the fact is it's a year-round effort to continually keep that push of, did you guys know you can do this? Did you guys know you can do that? So yes and no, you do want to be driving that interest. Like Dawn was saying, you want to make sure that your house is in order to drive the interest for your current customers and working with your customers. The one thing I find mildly misleading about this article and the way that this is all structured is the fact that it's saying, yeah, technology spending is up. Great. So people are buying tablets, PCs, and phones. What else are they buying right now? Because that's where everything is. It's all based on the tablet technology, and getting that integration between them is where we come into play, which is going to be another year down the line once they say, wow, my shiny new toy is capable of doing these things. So it's finding out who's making these purchases today and seeing how we can help them tomorrow. Seems to be more where I would look at where this article can lead us.
That's a good idea. Mike, when it comes to that, how would we do that? How would we lead our customers down that path?
To be honest with you, you got to talk to the customers, find out what they're planning to do with this shiny new piece of gear, or what they're actually doing in their conference rooms or at home. A lot of people are bringing their stuff from home into the conference room, and they want to start integrating it. And you have to actually talk to the users and say, what are you bringing in? Why are you going to use it? Is there something special on this little piece of gear that you just got that you have to use? Or did you just read about it on some website and you want to try it out? So I don't know. It's difficult.
I saw it on Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous, and I want to do that.
Absolutely, yeah. The Kardashians had one sitting next to their bed, so I had to touch it.
Did you burn down the house on your way out?
Oh, jeez. Nice.
I tried.
Mike brings up a really great point, though. in that so much of the spending now is BYOD.
Mm-hmm.
That if you don't, with my getting your house in order, if you don't have a plan for BYOD as a company, as an integrator for your customers, you're hosed at this point. I mean, hate to put it that way, but it's really become so prominent and so in demand that even if IT divisions of companies are not in favor of it, people are doing it anyway.
Yes,
and we have to be able to figure out a way to do it as securely as possible for them.
That is absolutely right.
It is.
You're so right. The IT people don't want it to come in, and yet everybody's sitting there with their iPad and it's connecting, and because they found out the password, and all of a sudden all of their wireless, bandwidth is squashed.
It's toast.
Yeah.
Yes.
Actually, I will invite all of you to any college campus, including my own, and you can watch your connectivity go through the floor between like 8:45 and 9 o'clock in the morning. It's ridiculous. So, all right.
You mean kind of like Infocom when all the geeks get there?
Oh, geez, yes. We had, Dawn can attest to this, we had a nice little room where we did the Infocom Todays and some other stuff. And so in the morning when we would get there, we would be, we'd have plenty of connectivity and this, that, and the other. And like right about 9, like 8 or 8:30, it was like, doom, nothing. Of course, we were also in a tomb where you couldn't get cell service either, so that was a whole other issue.
Well, the whole floor was that way. Nobody could get any cell service because everybody was on their cell.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, let's talk about Microsoft for a couple minutes. And we got two different stories here. One is the fact that Crestron RL is now certified for Microsoft Lync, which I'm sure that took a lot of stuff to do, and I'm not making light. Congratulations to them. And AVI SPL is offering Microsoft Lync room systems, complete all-in-one turnkey systems. Steve, we're going to kick this off with you, being my go-to control guy. Why are so many AV companies embracing the Microsoft?
I think it provides a different revenue stream from what I can understand. I haven't touched it yet myself, but it seems like this is something that's adopted within companies, and it gives us a foot in the door to be able to identify with them and to offer them something that maybe complements the other services that we provide, or gives you a kind of a foundation for building a system around it.
So it gives you almost like a common ground to go from.
Yeah, the Lync is something that they identify with and that they know that they need, or they have already adopted, and now we can add on to it with more control and more peripherals and so forth, and make it into a better experience.
Josh, do you think that really is the case where it's Steve's right. When you get Lync, it's not a not a light decision. It's not like you download Skype one day and say, "Hey, we have Lync, great." Is this an added feature, I guess, that we can tack on to and say, "Hey, we can take Lync and make it even better"?
Yeah, of course we can. I mean, that's what we're here to do. If that's the service that they want to provide, then it's our job to make sure that they're getting what they want. What was done right here from the manufacturing standpoint is Microsoft basically threw a ton of money at Crestron and let them develop this with them. Everybody already had these offices are so centralized. I'm in the Bay Area, in the middle of Silicon Valley, so I hear no end of Mac this, Mac that. We're waiting for the new spaceship to get built for whatever offices they're going to have, but there was so much pride in Crestron's voice at Infocom when they talked about their Lync products and the way that they were going. And it was almost this, we already know Microsoft is in every office. Now we can be in every office. So, we're just going to stick our thumbs in our lapels and grin at everybody else as the rest of you flail away trying to figure out how to get into these office spaces.
Hey, Tim, can I ask Steve a question real quick?
Sure.
So it seemed like the major advantage of a Lync system over anything else, maybe something like Skype, is the program sharing. But that means that all of your collaborators have to be running Windows, right? Or something Microsoft. How common is that? Is that common that like at a whole business or between all collaborators. They all use Windows, and so okay, we can get Lync.
I believe that it's something it's used probably within an enterprise, and I honestly don't, haven't worked with it personally, but what I'm seeing more and more of, even on other platforms, is that video conferencing a lot of times and this type of sharing of content is done for internal communication as much as it's done for external communication. So it is something that they don't have to worry about a proprietary nature as much.
Well, and I'll go ahead and answer that too, Nathan. You're talking about organizations that have large IT, or not necessarily large IT, but IT departments who are going to make the decision whether or not to go to Lync, right? And they will make the assessment whether or not they can, and if they have Macs or even Unix devices, Linux devices, they'll make the determination whether or not they can make that deployment work for them. Most of the time, and let's be honest here, what does the Microsoft OS have, like 80 or 90% market share? Most likely, if it's a Fortune 500 company, it's going to be running primarily a Microsoft product. So,
okay.
So running Lync is not a huge deal.
It's just Josh and I won't see it very much.
No.
Well, I was going to say, if I can jump in on that, Lync was like the magic word at the Infocom show this year.
Yep.
And not just the companies that we're mentioning from these articles, but a lot of different companies that were there were either Lync ready or Lync compatible. And we have entire companies and industry, like a whole industry is coming up around making the proprietary agnostic. So you have companies like Blue Gene. There's a company out there called AGT. I think it's Applied Global. There's a few other ones that part of their selling point and part of what they're proposing and what they've created is an interface that will let you bring in calls from people that are using Skype, people that are using Lync, people that are using whatever Mac video, a Google Plus, a traditional Cisco system. They're trying to bring it in under one umbrella and make them all talk to each other. And some of the demos I've seen, provided they can do this in the wild, so to speak, they're on the right track. So even if you're an I person or a Mac person, it doesn't automatically mean you don't get to play with the Lync people, especially, if you start utilizing one of these services. And I think that's going to become more and more prominent as time goes on and as this sort of prosumer IT AV hodgepodge of a unified communication thing takes off.
Dawn, do you think it's something where we're going to see more and more software-based, like you mentioned Blue Jeans, which is it's a really good product, or is it going to be people like the Polycoms and the Ciscos and the Radvisions and the Lifesize, where they're going to see that opportunity and they're going to say, you know what, if you buy our hardware, we'll play well with everybody else?
Well, the hardware guys have already started this. They're trying to. They're not entirely on board yet because they're shooting themselves in the foot if they go that route, honestly. But they're starting to play better with others, and the fact that they're willing to, unless people are just reverse engineering and hacking, they're willing to provide necessary info to companies like Blue Gene or whatever to develop their products so that they can interface with everything. I think that it's really going to become, the cloud-based kind of communications as a service model that we're starting to see with Blue Jeans and some of these other companies. And your Ciscos and your Polycoms, if they're smart, are going to develop an app or a program or whatever that'll play in that field. And the whole glory of the whole idea of that is you can still have your installed hard codec Cisco system or your installed hard codec Polycom, but then by using one of these software bridging type deals on the cloud, you don't have to have someone else with a hard installed thing. You could have us sitting here on Skype with our little webcam talking to someone on a hard system, whereas in the past you'd have to have someone with VTC that they could call into, So I think if they're smart, the hardware companies are already starting to develop this, and if memory serves from Infocom, they are starting to develop it. But I think it is going the way of the Blue Jeans and the AGTs and such of the world. They're starting to go towards the cloud or as a service model for this.
Well, yeah, and that actually ties into our last story here from AV Network. The young executives of the world, and the fact that it says Generation Y executives produce prefer video. I didn't realize that Generation Y was old enough to be executives, but yeah. Yeah, Nathan's a Generation Y.
Taking over the world.
Settle down there, Sparky.
And once again, Gen X is ignored.
I know.
Boomers to the Y. Come on.
Dukin. You know what? We got gypped. I mean, we got, I almost said Billy Idol. Good Lord. I'm going to just keep reading this.
You had the whole grunge era to shine through.
We had grunge. We had, Garbage Pail Kids.
We had to overcome grunge, some of us, all right?
We had the original NES, the Atari. Sorry. By the way, I'm in the middle of reading Ready Player One, which everybody should read if you're a child of the 80s, because it's a really great book. Not that we have an Amazon thing, Amazon Audible thing, but it's a really good book, and it's read by Will Wheaton, so it's even better.
Ooh,
yeah,
nice.
Yeah. So Generation Y execs prefer video. Steve, this is something that we'll kick off with you. How do we capitalize on this? I mean, how do we capitalize? We just talked about the fact that getting all of these, whether it's software or hardware based people, to link together, no pun intended, but make them play nice together. Then how do we convince these young execs, these Generation Y folks, that they need to use us?
Well, I think really kind of plays into our hand. Of course, they're going to have to understand the difference between their phone, their FaceTime, and Skype, and an installed system, and the quality. But it does say here that it's something about having a low tolerance for low quality video and calls dropping out. So maybe that's the selling point. That's our ticket in. But I thought that this was an inspiring article from the fact that the future is going to be using more video, and our relevance is going to continue to grow, and hopefully we can go in there, and the key is, I think, that we have to just make sure that we start to target marketing and start to target our communications to these up and coming executives that are of a younger generation that grew up with technology, and I've been saying for a long time, back when I first started in the industry, we were pushing technology, and this was all very foreign, and now there's going to be a lot more people that probably have had a lot more experience with technology than we have, because they've known it for their whole life.
Well, Mike, that's a good point. The fact that these people, this generation, have grown up with technology, and maybe that's our key in the fact that you grew up with FaceTime, or you grew up with webcam and with Skype, and here's the grown up version of that. What do you think, Mike?
No, with all the I say kids, but they all have their toys, and they were so used to playing with, the FaceTime and everything, and it kind of became second nature. And I've had plenty of clients who say Skype is just fine. It's good enough for now. And yes, they are some of the younger aged executives. But even the older guys who, I guess, too far away from the screen, can't tell. But either way, it's one of those things where they just want to see the face. They don't care if it's pixelated for a little bit. They're getting their point and they're screaming at their TV, and it makes them feel happy about it. They're improving. They're going into the future. It's closer to the Jetsons, where they're all staring at the TV and talking to each other. We've built a lot of systems around Skype, around Cisco's Jabber, even the Net Meeting and GoToMeeting. They all want to use that as their quick, let's have a meeting interface, a computer into a display, hang it up on a wall, and run away. It's a strange, to me it seemed like almost going backward in the technology, but it's what they want. It's simple to the point.
Yeah, it is. Josh, when it comes to that, I mean, Mike's right. Sometimes they just want to simply see a human something. It doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be in high def. It just give me a blob that's talking to me, and I'm okay. Is this the same generation or the same amount of people who think that watching less than 480i video on YouTube is fine, and that's kind of some of our challenges here.
I almost want to take it back even farther than that and bring it into a standpoint of what type of learner these kids were raised to be. I mean, when you were going into grade school and everything was written down on a chalkboard, you had to listen, you had to pay attention. But with everything being publicized on a screen from the infancy through executivehood, they are visual learners. If they don't see it, they don't understand it. And it's harder for them to pay attention. What's that?
What was that?
Are you saying the TV raised our kids?
No.
I didn't say the kid. I didn't say it raised
never
the
say
kids.
that.
I said it taught the kids.
Well, not only that, but
Sesame Street and all those children's learning shows, that really did bring them into, hey, I'm looking at something, I'm learning about it. That it trained them. Why not?
Okay.
And they now have that expectation.
Well, hang on for a second, guy. We grew up with Sesame Street, all right? So it wasn't just that. It was once you got, Josh makes a good point. Once you got into the classroom, right? I still remember blackboards and the green chalkboards. Mm-hmm. But, my kids now who are 5 and 7, they have smart boards. They have, this, that, and the other. They've got screens everywhere. My daughter at kindergarten was learning how to run a computer. I mean, they both can probably program an app on my iPad now. That's ridiculous. But the fact that they're in the learning environment, which I think was where Josh was going with that, in the learning environment for 13 years plus college, these students are being trained with screens in front of them in inordinately larger amounts than we were. And so maybe that's the deal. Maybe that's the fact that they've got screens from the time they're come out of the womb until they get into executivehood.
The teachers right now are being taught to use all of these smart boards. My stepdaughter is a teacher, and when she was a teacher's assistant, it was forced upon her to go up, use the functionality, show them how to write, show them how to grab this, and put it into a full Word. And circle out things, and it was the full interactive portion, and she had to learn how to use it. She didn't want to use it. It was to her, she just wanted to read out and do, this is what you do, and they were, no, you have to actually pick up the markers and start drawing and save the presentations and then turn them in.
Well, and Tim, that's one thing. You and I we're Gen X, but we're about the same age. We're actually sort of on the cusp of Y.
Really?
Sort of like, yeah. Being, I don't know exactly which year you were born, but the year I was born is only about 2 years away from the beginning of what is defined as Generation Y. And so we're sort of transitional. Like, I remember the green chalkboard and, with actual chalk and everything. But we also we'd roll in that cart with the big ass TV on it and watch videos, and that started. And we had the Apple IIs and whatever in our classroom in grade school for using computers. So we were sort of the start of where kids are now, and where kids are now is way beyond where we were. But I really agree that it's become their lifestyle. And while you will find people our age, some like I'm immersed in it because it's my career and I'm a social media geek and I have at least one screen attached to my hand or my hip at all times. Not everyone our age is there because we were transitional. Yeah. But the people a bit younger than us, this is their life. This is their existence. And, to Mike's point, not only are the teachers being taught to use the technology in the classroom, they're going beyond and finding technology that a lot of us in the corporate world don't even know about and using it to improve on, I have a cousin that's a teacher. And rather than using PowerPoint for things, there's this other interactive presentation software, and I can't remember the name of it right now, and I'm not going to Google it because we're running near the end here, but it creates basically like a PowerPoint presentation, but it's interactive and it has video and things slide around.
It's called Prezi, Prezi.
Prezi. Thank you. Yeah, I knew it was something short and with a Z in it. Yeah, Prezi. So Prezi is like the thing. And when friends that are teachers start asking me Prezi questions because I'm the tech girl, I look at them blankly like, what the hell are you talking about?
It's you hear, seriously, Dawn, next year when you do your Infocom class, you should do it with Prezi. It's freaking sweet.
Well, I'm starting to learn it because of all the teachers coming to me and saying, "Hey, give me tech support. What do I do with this?" It's like, well, I have to learn it first. Hold on.
Yeah.
But that's because the kids and the educational environment has gotten so interactive and so hands-on beyond just sit there and write this or listen to what I'm saying. That's where generationally that's where we're going.
Yeah, it is. Real quickly, I was the reason that Richard Nixon resigned. I was born in May, and he resigned in August. So, if that gives you an idea of when I was born. Last thing here, guys. Our young Generation Y author. I'm just going to give you a hard time about it.
That's me.
That's you. Yes, Nathan Lively has written a new ebook. Sound Design Live. First, Nathan, who should buy this, and first, what is it? What's the book about, and who should buy it?
The book has two parts: tools and career. So the career part is all about the nuts. I'm sorry. It's all about education and the nuts and bolts of working as a sound engineer. So I would say that that's great for students, and it's great for people like me who just want some new ideas or need some motivation for finding creativity in their job, I think. And then the first half is all about technology in the field. And I try to bring to light some tools and techniques that are largely unknown. But the best part about this book is that I feel like I don't have to convince anyone of my own worth, because it's all made of interviews I did during my first 2 years of working on Sound Design Live. So it's not about me at all. It's more about sharing really valuable information from people who know a lot more than I do and helping sound engineers build their careers. So it's really for sound engineers working in the field and for people who might be interested in figuring out where they fit into the audio industry when they're, in high school or college.
Very cool. How do people get it?
sounddesignlive.com/products, or if you just go to Sound Design Live, you'll find it. If you go to Sound Design Live/products, you can download a sample chapter. And let's see, the readers of AVNation, listeners of AVNation, should use the coupon CONCERT20 for a 20% discount. That's the word concert and then the number 20.
All one word or separate?
All one word, CONCERT20, no space.
Very cool. Thank you so much, sir. That gentleman right there is Nathan Lively. He's from Sound Design Live. He's also the author of the new ebook. What's your you just gave us your website. What's your Twitter and other social media?
Oh, that's hard. My Twitter is Nathan Dufrango, which I decided to get since I lived in Portugal for a while. It's Nathan, DOFRANGO. And you can also just find that by going to sounddesignlive.com. There's also a Facebook page for Sound Design Live and a Google Plus page.
Very cool. Mike, thank you so much. His name is Mike Faulkner. He is the Manager of Engineering Services for AVTexture. Thank you so much, sir.
Oh, thank you.
Where can people find you or find AVTexture?
www.avtexture.com, or you can email me at mike.faulkner@avtexture.com.
Very good. Also with us, our other first-time guest, Josh Schrago. Is it Schrago or Schrago? I forgot to ask you.
Strego.
He's project manager for ICS, Integrated Communication System. Thank you, sir.
Sure, I love being here.
Where can people find you or ICS?
ICS-integration.com is the company website, but you can find me at JSRAGO on Twitter. You can also find my writings at the new Red Band AV website, and as well as an older blog series where I did musician, engineering, artistic type stuff called Audible Integrity, where that's one of the ways Nathan and I first connected. So,
Audible Integrity.
That's where you can find me.
Alrighty. Steve Greenblatt is the chief muckety-muck over at Control Concepts, and yet he still hangs out with me. So thank you, sir.
Of course. I enjoy this very much. So thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. Where can people find you or Control Concepts?
Well, I'm on social media at Steve Greenblatt, and I want to put in a plug also for A State of Control, which is our control podcast that that you and I and some others that have been on AVWeek have participated in, and encourage everybody to listen in. And Control Concepts is controlconcepts.net.
Very good. Last but not least, the lovely and talented and very much young AV Dawn Mead. How are you, ma'am?
Very good, thanks.
Where can people find you and all your social media prowess?
Well, folks can find my company at net-av.com, net-av.com. We're a small integrator. For myself, I'm on Twitter at AVDawn. I have a woefully in need of an update blog at avdawn.com, and eventually I'll have 5 minutes to continue blogging again. You can also find a few comics on that site. I have AV Dawn's World webcomic that I periodically get a wild hair and create a new one. And, I'm around.
Yeah, and she also is one of the... Go ahead.
I was going to say, and you can find me on AVNation, not just on AVWeek, but with the lovely Kelly Perkins from Vadio, co-hosting AV Social podcast. So if you're interested in social media and marketing concepts specifically geared to the AV industry, check us out. Give us a listen.
Yep, absolutely. And I was going to say that because both you guys, both you and Steve, had brand new episodes in the last couple of weeks. So yeah, check that out if you would. Real quickly, we had a miscommunication, and that's a fancy word for Tim screwed something up when it comes to the iTunes feed. I put in the incorrect link, so if you tried to download episode 106, please try to do it again. It's been fixed, but yeah, I don't know. Illinois passed this marijuana law, and I've just been screwed up ever since. But if you would, please go by the website, avnation.tv, avnation.tv. You will find a very nice show on control and automation, that segment of the industry with Steve Greenblatt, the AV Social, which is marketing and communications with Kelly Perkins and the lovely AV Dawn. The Live Life with George Tucker. The Red Band crew have joined our ranks, or we've teamed up with them. Joined our ranks is the wrong word, but we've teamed up with them, and they've got a new podcast from those guys coming out in sometime next week. We have two new projector podcasts, one focusing strictly on Pico, the Pico projectors, and the other one focusing on pretty much everything else, an education show. So yeah, go by the website, avnation.tv, avnation.tv. Thanks so much for listening. That's all the time we have for AV Week.